And we are back for week 3 of Razor Sharp Picks. Ladies and gentlemen, join us on this Wednesday evening as we get ready for a fun week of football. Every single team going to play again this week. And guys, if you look at last week, I did better. And I'm looking to continue to improve on that. Video, leave a comment. I'm excited for these week's matchups, I should say. I'm excited for it. I hope you guys are excited for it. And it all starts on Thursday, tomorrow night. I see you, Cameron. I see your picks. Let me give you Cameron's picks right now. He has the 49ers taking it down Thursday night. We'll talk about that in a second. The Bills, the Lions, Vikings, Packers, Jaguars, Broncos, Browns, Ravens, Jets, Seahawks, Chiefs, Cowboys, Steelers, Eagles, and Rams. That's his selections. We have some of the same here, but not all. Not all. So let's talk about two. You guys know as well, so they change a little bit. Not changing my teams, but when the spreads change, for example, I was going with the Eagles to cover 6.5 on Wednesday last week. Luckily, I got them at 6, tied that one. So we came out okay there. I know a lot of you probably had them at 6.5. Some of you had 5.5, would have won there. But I was okay with the tie at 6 last Thursday. The other tie I had last week, I forget which one it is. Hold on. Let me tell you who it is. Who was my other tie last week? Do you guys know? Oh, it was the Monday night New Orleans Carolina game. Monday night New Orleans Carolina. New Orleans scoring late kind of screwed me. I was upset about that. I'm sorry, Carolina scoring late kind of screwed me. I was very upset about that. But what can you do? Rather a tie than a loss. So this week, right now, Thursday night football starts tomorrow, and we got the New York Giants going against the 49ers. No Saquon Barkley for the. And listen, it'd be easy to look at this game and just go San Fran, easy, right? Both straight up and against the spread. But one to 7 or 28-7 to the Arizona Cardinals in the. I have to remember what the Giants did on Sunday. Yeah, they went down 20 offense, right? Something about building confidence in offense, getting points, and scoring in a fury, right? They scored 24 points in a little bit over a quarter of football. So that's getting a little more comfortable with this offense. We know what Brian Davis can do to make quarterbacks look better than what they might. Dan Jones, I mean, that's just the truth. At times they look better than they actually are, maybe, or at least getting the best out of his quarterbacks. Maybe we'll say it that way. But I look at the 49ers and listen, they're probably a little annoyed about what happened with the spread this past Sunday, right? Up on the Rams, and then all of a sudden, the last-second field goal. I mean, I know a lot of you are thinking, if that doesn't scream the NFL is rigged, what does? And it's hard for me to argue. It's really hard for me to argue. You're down 10 points. The last play of the game, you guys kick a field goal? You kick a field goal? Who does that? And McVay's answer when asked about kicking a field goal with 4 seconds left doesn't help matters any. He was talking about getting a field goal range sooner and maybe getting an onside kick. We all know how the game works, though, right? Like when the clock hits triple zeros, quadruples, is that something you wanted to do? You do that with 30, 40 seconds left, and then you could try the onside kick. Don't tell me with 4 seconds left, you're like, oh, well, if we kick a field goal, maybe we can get the onside kick, and we can do something with it. No, it's too late. And, for everyone saying, point differential is a tiebreaker. Yes, it is. When was the last time it was used, though? When was the last time we had to use it? That's right. We don't. We don't have to use it. Okay. So Don't tell me that was a tiebreaker thing or anything like that. It just wasn't. It just wasn't. And that's why it's so hard for me to not say that it was not rigged. That this game was not, that the spread wasn't rigged. Now, listen, I come out on the positive end of it, right? I chose the Rams to cover. They did. I gave the Giants 49ers, and you're like, who's going to come out on top? Listen, it's in San Fran or whatever, Pasadena, wherever their stadium is. I think the Niners are going to win this game. No Saquon Barkley. It's going to be really hard to get this running attack going anyway against a good, and give me San Fran to cover a 10-point spread. If you remember last season, how much I hated double-digit spreads, came on earlier this year and told you that for the most part, I think it was 67%. Double-digit spreads normally cover. I like the 49ers at home. I like them to cover that 10-point spread. Let me know what you think in the comment section. And if you're not watching this live, if you watch this later, maybe this later, let me know in the comment section who you have in some of these games. And if you truly believe the NFL is rigged, or do you not think it is rigged at all? And it just so happens that the Rams didn't know it was a 10-point spread, and that, yeah, the field goal was just something they wanted to do. Moving on to Sunday. Sunday. We're going to start with our Buffalo Bills. The Buffalo Bills going to Washington to play the Commanders in a 1 o'clock contest, a contest that might be a lot closer than what some people believe. Did you know Washington's offense is currently 7th in the NFL? 7th in the NFL. And I know it's pride. We know how to put points. Now you look at this Buffalo Bills defense. What they did last week to the Raiders was pretty incredible. It started slow. We talk about the Raiders having their 10. After that, it was all Buffalo. The final 2.5, 3 quarters, the Raiders could not get anything going. So this Washington football team, Commanders team, whatever you want to call it, defense. When we look at the Buffalo Bills offense, the offense played efficiently last week. And I expect a lot of the same in this matchup, right? Washington comes in with a better defense, I believe, the defense that you can take advantage of. And hopefully that's something the Buffalo Bills are able to do. James Cook able to get over 100 yards last week, so good for him. Not many Bills running backs these days get over 100 yards, and it'd be really hard to think that they can do it in back-to-back weeks. I would love to see it. See this running attack going once again. See them kind of pick apart this Washington defense. Not sure if that's going to happen. This is a good your last year or last 5 some people in the NFC East, and maybe do exactly what the Giants did last year, right? Last year, we're like, this Daniel Jones isn't it. Brian Daboll's gonna come in, rookie head coach. He's going to have some issues. They're not going to be that be in the section or in the chat. Do you think the Washington Commanders could be a playoff team? Because I think they could be. I think there could be conference, this dominant conference. Well, right now, the best teams, or at least winning-wise, the best teams are in the NFC. So we'll see what happens. This game, I have the Buffalo Bills outlasting the Washington football team, Washington Commanders, whatever you want to call them. But I do think Washington keeps this game close, especially at home. So give me the Buffalo Bills to win this game. The next game is a pick'em game. So that means there's no spread. There's no spread. We do know that Vegas normally gives a 3-point spread to the home team. If the teams are even, a lot of times they'll give you that 3-point spread. And instead of home team series. So in this game, they're really saying the Chargers are a little bit better than the Vikings, but it's close enough where they're not going to say one way or the other who they think is going to win this matchup. Personally, I think that a lot of people are going to be picking the Chargers to win this matchup, and I think that's a mistake. I think that's a mistake. The Chargers are giving away wins. The Chargers can't win. They're shooting themselves. Zebra doesn't change their stripes overnight, guys. I think this Charger team has a problem, and it's something that's been plaguing the Chargers for as long as I can remember. And I'm talking about Marty Schottenheimer being the head coach, LaDainian Tomlinson, Phillip Rivers. You go back as far as you want to. This Charger team, for some reason, just can't put it all together. There was a year, I think it was 2006, maybe 2007, I forget, but the Chargers led the league in offense. They led the league in defense, and yet they still missed the playoffs. How does that happen? How does that happen? And this Charger team, they're notorious for it. They're notorious for it. You have Justin Herbert playing his butt off, playing 2 pretty solid weeks of football. Minnesota lost to a 2-0 Tampa Bay team who looks pretty decent, right? Like Baker seemingly doing just enough to get the job done. The quarterback, right? Hard to do, and they're doing it. They lost to the Philadelphia Eagles team on Thursday Night Football on the road. That's always a tough place to play in Philadelphia. Believe me, I know, I live close by. Always a tough place to play. So you can't really blame them for that. Plus, since they played last Thursday night, a little bit of extra rest at home. I don't think this is going the Chargers' way. I don't think this is going the Chargers' way. I think I'm in the minority here, as we saw Cameron's picks earlier. I believe he went with the Vikings too. But I think a lot of people are going to go with the Chargers, and I understand it. Keenan Allen, you got Justin Herbert, as I talked about. But I think Austin Eckler is also out for this game, so that would be a huge impact as well. The Vikings win this game. The Vikings win this game because it's a pick-em, so they don't have to cover a spread. They just have to win. So that's what I think is going to happen. Going to Lambeau Field, where the Green Bay Packers are taking on the New Orleans Saints. Guys, the Saints team, you just don't know what to expect going to next, right? You just don't know what to expect. But I think they have a pretty good offense. I always love Taysom Hill, right? I always love Taysom Hill, the gadget plays. They're called at seemingly a perfect time every time. Whenever the New Orleans Saints need a spark, right, they bring in Taysom Hill, and he just does something amazing. And he does it week in and week out. And we're still not sure when it comes to the Packers, the status of Jones. He's listed as questionable. Did not practice yet this week. He's been doing some stretches with the team, things like that, but just not yet doing anything as far as practicing goes. I think that leads me to believe he is not going to play this Sunday. Listen, if Jones plays this Sunday, the Packers win this game. If Jones plays on Sunday and it is some sort of resemblance of himself, the Packers win this game. But I don't see him playing on Sunday. I think that's where the problem lies. For that reason, I like the New Orleans Saints. I really do. You look at this matchup, again, you got a pretty good quarterback, Derek Carr, Taysom Hill to mix things up. You got Chris Olave, looked really good on Monday night, and I think he's ready to do that again. The 2-0 New Orleans Saints go into Lambeau Field and beat the Green Bay Packers. Then you go to Detroit, go Ford Field, where the Atlanta Falcons come into town as 3-point underdogs against the Detroit Lions. The Lions losing overtime thriller last week against the Seattle Seahawks. Atlanta coming out on top last week, moving them to 2-0. So this is going to be a good matchup, I believe. I think that Atlanta will run the ball. I think they don't bet over-unders, so that's fine. But if you want to bet the over-under, I would say bet the under in this game because I think that Atlanta's going to run the ball and they're going to take possessions away from Detroit. And I think Detroit, so far this season, they've proven that it's taken some time to really get into rhythm. We saw in the Kansas City game opening week, they only scored 21 points, guys. It's not like they blew the door off the place. as far as offensively is concerned. But then you saw on this big lead, I think it was a double-digit lead at certain points, and then Detroit come that. So I think that happens again here. Detroit's offense starts run the ball. So even though I like Detroit to win this game, because Atlanta is going to run the ball. So 3 points. Then we move on to Cleveland. Devastating Monday night for Cleveland. Devastating Monday night. Not only do you lose to a division rival, but you lose maybe the best running back in the game. You watch that Chubb injury, and you just fear for him that it's one of those career-ending type injuries. Like he might try and come back, but he'll never be the same again. He had a previous injury during college to the same knee, so you just wonder what's that going to do for Chubb if he comes back, when he comes back. Listen, I hope that he comes back stronger than ever. Modern medicine is something that's amazing, and I hope that it proves true once again. But Nick Chubb, you just feel for the guy. But you also look at this Cleveland offense now without Nick Chubb, and you're like, what's going to happen? Because Deshaun Watson, he just seemed to struggle last week, Monday, against the Steelers. I know the Steelers have and you just I expect him to be out for at least another week. Tennessee coming off that win, right? A very impressive win in overtime against the Chargers. Tennessee looking move 2-1. Tennessee looking to fight with the Jaguars. Just Ryan Hill, but he looked better this week. Can he continue to improve on that? We all know Cleveland has a good defense. What kind of pressure can they put on Ryan Tannehill? Because the defense for Cleveland, if Cleveland wants to win this game, the defense is going to have to be the ones that get the job done. Are they able to do it? Are they able to do it? I'm not sure they are. I like Tennessee to win this game. I like Tennessee to beat a 3-point spread. Listen, guys, there are a lot of home favorites and a few double-digit ones. First one here, give me the Tennessee Titans at 3-point spread. To go Jacksonville, Duval with the Jacksonville Jaguars are 9-point favorites against the Houston Texans. The Jacksonville Jaguars looking to run away with the AFC South, 1-1 right now after a tough loss to Kansas City last week. Houston comes in trying to still build, right? They're still building. Young quarterback C.J. Stroud trying to continually get better. And we saw from week 1 to week 2 a few strides in the right direction. Can they do the same thing coming into Jacksonville? Listen, if this game were in Houston, I might see them having a shot here. But they are 9-point ETN. I know he got hurt late last week in that game, but I don't think it matters. I think Trevor Lawrence is going to win this game by himself. He'll throw the ball for 500 yards if he has to, and I think that the Jacksonville Jaguars win this game. Now, it is a divisional matchup, and again, I think the Texans are going to run the ball a little bit, try to play a time possession game, things like that. Could see a defensive score from Jacksonville, which might help them cover this spread, but it's a big spread. It's a divisional matchup. Give me the Jaguars to win the game, but give me the Houston Texans to cover. /New Jersey, because that's where they actually play. For an AFC East rivalry game, a game that we should be interested in if you're a Bills fan, the New York Jets, 3-point underdogs. Actually, it's now 2.5. It's 2.5-point underdogs. I'm going to change that. I just looked at the lines right before I came live. So 2.5-point Patriots. Listen, New England this past week were a little upset about a call at the end of the game, Bill Belichick, some others thought that the offensive lineman got past the first down sticks to give him first down, give him an opportunity in that game against the Dolphins. This is back-to-back divisional games. They played the Dolphins really offense in that game, but that defense made them earn it every step of the way. Tua threw a pick in that game, and at times did not look that great. And I think this New England defense is for real. But I know everyone's hard on the Jets right now. I just don't know how Mac Jones is going to handle this Jets defense. This Jets defense is unreal. Unreal. I know they had a tough time against Dallas, but man, this Jets defense is unreal. And I think they force a few turnovers in this game. Everyone's down on Zach Wilson. I think he comes out and he plays sufficient. I think he plays well enough. Not saying that he won't have a turnover or two himself, but I think the New York Jets, Breece Hall, Cook, I think that they run the ball a whole bunch and that the New York Jets, New Jersey Jets, win this matchup and beat a 2.5-point spread. Give me the Jets to win at home. Give me the Jets to beat a 2.5-point spread. Then another AFC East team, the Miami Dolphins, are at home. 6.5-point favorites against the Denver Broncos. Listen, letting Russ cook, it just isn't happening anymore. It's just not happening anymore, right? We saw the Hail Mary. They got a little lucky there, but they still lost by 2. They still lost by 2 to Washington. And listen, again, Washington's legit. I'm not saying anything bad against Washington, but the Denver Broncos offense did not look like where they want to be. Now, listen, there's some growing pains. New head coach, even if it is Sean Payton, there are going to be some growing pains there. Miami, another impressive victory. Another impressive victory on primetime stage Sunday night against the New England Patriots. So you can't say anything bad about that. Can't say anything bad about what they did. Again, did Tua look pedestrian at times? Absolutely he did. But did he also look pretty good at times? Absolutely he did. So, there's a lot of good things. If you're a Dolphin fan, there's a lot of good things you like about Tua Tagovailoa, his presence in the pocket, the way he's able to control that huddle. You're really happy with what you see. A lot of people crowning the Miami Dolphins the Week 2 champs, and good for them. Good for them. Maybe after Week 2, they were the AFC champs. But the season's more than 2 weeks long. The season's more than 2 weeks long. And so how will it go Week 3? Again, 6.5-point favorites at home. I think Denver finds a way to cover this spread. I do. They will get some points, force some mistakes out to Tua Tagovailoa, but I do have the Dolphins winning this game. Dolphins win at home. Denver Broncos cover a 6.5-point spread. Going to Baltimore, where the Baltimore Ravens are 8-point favorites against the Indianapolis Colts. I don't have much to say about this game. The Indianapolis Colts quarterback might be out. You might be looking at Gardner Minshew coming in this game. And that's just not going to be a good thing for the Indianapolis Colts. I know that Gardner Minshew mania. I understand all that. I understand what he did with Philly. I understand what he's done in Jacksonville. I get it. But he's still a backup. He has still been a backup year in and year out every time he's been in this league. And I can't trust him to beat a team where Lamar Jackson's looking really good. Really good. This Baltimore defense is looking pretty good too. And they're at home. Give me the Baltimore Ravens to cover an 8-point spread. Give me them to win pretty easily at home. Going to Seattle. So from the East Coast to the West Coast as we start the 4 o'clock games. This game at 4:05. The Carolina Panthers, and this one has now switched as well to 5.5. So let me switch that for you. This one is now a 5.5-point spread. The Seahawks, 5.5-point favorites at home. Hopefully the 12th man shows up if you are a Seahawks fan. The Seattle Seahawks coming in Geno Smith looked really good last week in their overtime victory against the Detroit Lions. Really pushed his team to victory, I thought, in that matchup. You look at this Carolina Panthers team, still a young team with a young quarterback who's going to make mistakes, who's going to go through some growing pains. And that's what we saw last week as well against Atlanta, I believe it was, or New Orleans on Monday night. So you have a little bit of a shorter week. You have to travel to the West Coast. A little tired. I understand that. Now, normally when we talk about travel, the West Coast to East Coast trip is a little bit tougher on football teams, it seems. But that's still a long trip on a short week, right? That's still a long trip on a short week. Not sure what the weather conditions are going to be. I think it's going to be a little rainy there. Last I checked on the weather. But you can't blame weather, right? You can't blame weather. Everyone's playing it. The Seahawks win this game. The Seahawks cover a 5.5-point spread. These next two games are 4:25. Really a sad lineup when it comes to the 4 o'clock games this week. 4:25, we have two games with double-digit spreads. This one has moved to a 11.5. So I'm going to change that. We've seen Arizona playing well, right? Playing well, covering spreads week 1 and week 2, but not able to get a win for whatever reason, right? Whether you say they're trying to tank and they're purposely putting themselves in position to lose games, there's no reason why they should have lost against the Giants. No reason. You're up 28-7 in the third quarter. You should always win that game. Should always win that game. But they didn't. They didn't. And again, that's a sign of a young team, a struggling team. That's a sign of a team that's just maybe not even coached well, right? And maybe there's a reason for that. Again, maybe they're tanking. Maybe the GM hired a guy the owner hired a guy who he knew would not do well coaching up this team. Maybe. I don't know. But they coach up this team enough to have leads in games that that no one thought they would, right? They always come out strong. At least the first 2 weeks, they come out strong. They even get leads at times, but they're just not able to hold on to it at the end. Dallas, opposite end of the spectrum. In fact, if I were to do a power rankings right now, this could be 1 versus 32. That's how strong Dallas has looked the first 2 weeks, and that's how bad Arizona has looked the first 2 weeks. This could be the best team currently in the NFL. And listen, I'm not saying Dallas is going to be the best team in 2 more weeks. I am not. In fact, if you follow me on Twitter, you know what I am saying about, and this is not Mario, this is Joe. Let's do this. You know what I'm saying about people just falling for the Cowboy love all the time. The Cowboys are always so loved come September, but then December, they're nowhere to be found. Let them win a playoff game first, and then I might start being on the bandwagon just a little bit. But in this matchup, early September, Dallas has shown no reason of slowing down. I think this is a game where Arizona just do not get out of the gates well. And this might be a really ugly game. I'm talking like 47-10. You know, you thought that the Giants game was bad when they beat the Giants 40-0. I think the only reason why this won't be any worse is because it's not a divisional foe. And so Dallas will take their foot off the gas just a little bit more than they did the New York, New Jersey Giants week 1. But this thing's going to be ugly. And I think 11.5 is a lot small. I would probably take this if it was 16.5, guys. That's how confident I am. Dallas is going to win this game. Dallas is going to roll against the Arizona Cardinals. And then, like I said, we have 2 4:25 games, and we have 2 games with double-digit spreads. And it does not get any better when you talk about the Kansas City Chiefs against the Bears. You know, we've seen Justin Fields, and now Bears fans have given up, at least most of them, have given up on Justin Fields after 2 weeks. Maybe a little premature, maybe not justified, but he's looked really bad these last 2 weeks. I mean, we all saw the play. He has a wide open guy on the seam. He has a clean pocket, and it still ends up in a sack somehow. How does that happen? Because he's not able to make his reads. He's not able to find the open guy. He needs to be able to do that. But Kansas City right now, believe it or not, Kansas City right now, the 22nd ranked offense. I know we look at Kansas City, we think Patrick Mahomes, we think Travis Kelce, we think Andy Reid, and we think high-powered offense. Not the case yet. And I'm not saying they're not going to turn around. I'm not saying they're not going to be by the end of the season. I think that they'll be right there at the end of the season, just like they always are. But again, a zebra does not change colors overnight. It just does not happen. It's going to take time. It's going to take time for this Chiefs team to figure out what's going on. They still don't have the offensive weapons they would want to. They still have, Sky Moore. They still have Tooney. They still have a bunch of just guys, a bunch of just dudes. And you're like, where did these guys come from? And why are they here? And when are the Chiefs going to get help at wide receiver? You can't just think that Patrick Mahomes is just going to do it himself all the time. You can't. And he's not. Travis Kelce getting older. beginning to date a little bit more now from what we hear. So he is a little distracted. But listen, it's Tay, so I'd be distracted too. So good for you, Travis Kelce. But can they get the job done in KC against the Bears? Yes, they're going to. They're going to get the job done. Will they cover a 12.5-point spread? I don't think so. I think that this is a fun game to watch. I think that the Bears put up some points, and I think the Chiefs win, but I think the Bears cover a 12.5-point spread. Again, over 60% of teams cover double-digit spreads, but I already have two teams doing it, so I don't see the Chiefs doing it. And so that still puts me at 66%. We're still good to go. Speaking good to go, let's move on from the 4 o'clock hour because these games are horrendous for the 4 o'clock hour. The Carolina-Seattle game might be a little fun, but overall, I don't like the 4 o'clock hour at all when it comes to the games this week. Let's move to Sunday Night Football. And somehow the Steelers have another primetime game. Listen, after what happened last Monday, the Nick Chubb injury aside, and that was horrendous and horrible and all those things, right? Even without that, this game between the Steelers and the Browns last Monday was horrendous. It seemed like it took 12 days. Like, it was just terrible. I mean, Pittsburgh scored 2 defensive touchdowns to win the game by, 4 points or something like that. Like, it was just terrible. And then you look at what the Raiders did last week. Are you kidding me? After an opening drive touchdown. Listen, the Bills scored 17 points in the second half. 17 points in the second half. The Raiders had 13 plays. 13 plays in the whole second half. You're not going to win many football games that way. You have to hold on to the ball. And I understand. Listen, as a Bills fan, I want the Bills defense to be the 86 Bears, right? Like, that's what I want. Or 85 Bears. That's what I want. They're not, though. You need to find a way to get first downs. You can't have Josh Jacobs getting negative yards to end the game. Negative yards to end the game. That's crazy. Josh Jacobs led the league in rushing last year, and he ends a game with negative total yards. That's nuts. -2, I think, rushing yards last week. That's nuts to me. You just can't have that happen. And so for that reason, I think the Las Vegas Raiders, they do come out, and this is a 2.5-point spread. Sorry, I don't have it on there for you guys. They do come out, and they run the ball. They try to establish run. But this Pittsburgh Steelers defense, having none of it. Listen, last thing I want is for Josh Jacobs, anything remotely close to what happened to Nick Chubb happened to Josh Jacobs this week. Not a chance. I would never wish that upon anybody. I don't want any injuries happening. But injuries aside, it's tough to run against the Steelers defense. It's TJ Watt's the real deal. He now leads the franchise in sacks. Is Minka Fitzpatrick playing on a shore? I know he went out last week, but still a really tough front seven for the Pittsburgh Steelers. I think they found a way to stop the run, and even though the Steelers are underdogs in this game, I think the Steelers again pull this one out. I think the Steelers moved to 2-1, winning back-to-back games as the underdog. This game on the road. Now we move to another 2-game Monday Night Football schedule. I don't know why they're doing 2 games on Monday Night Football back-to-back weeks. I think they hopefully will learn from their mistake this season and not do it all next season. Like, I understand maybe week 1 doing it. It's a fun thing. And if it makes money for a league, they're going to keep doing it. And that's my fear. I feel like this is a way for the league to make money. They're doing that. So why would they stop, right? So I think that these 2 Monday Night Football game things are going to continue to happen. And that's annoying, but it is what it is. You have the Philadelphia Eagles coming off their Thursday night victory against the Minnesota Vikings, going to Tampa Bay, playing the Baker Mayfield 2-0 Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Both these teams come into this game 2-0. Tampa, 5-point underdogs at home. I don't know if you remember what I said earlier, guys, but I said that there are a lot of home favorites, and so that might lead to some upsets this week. And I did pick some on Sunday, but that doesn't mean I can't pick a home dog for upsets as well. Listen, this Tampa Bay team I think is better than what people are giving them credit for. Baker Mayfield may have figured something out, and he might become maybe not that top 10 quarterback he was drafted to be, but a serviceable quarterback in the NFL. They got a good running game going. I think that the Buccaneers team is legit. You look at Philadelphia, look at the other side of the coin. Yeah, they got DeAndre Swift, who got that offense kind of rolling last Thursday. But, man, Jalen Hurts does not look like the Jalen Hurts of last season. And last season, there was a Super Bowl run. I understand that he looked really good last year. He just hasn't looked like that guy this season. And that concerns me a little bit when you talk about this Eagles offense. Sure, DeAndre Swift looked nice. And sure, he might continue to be that guy for the Philadelphia Eagles. But at what point does that kind of come to an end? At what point does it catch up to the Eagles and they realize that they need Jalen Hurts to kind of be that guy again? Not sure if Gainwell's playing this week, but the way Swift played last week, even if he does play, I would expect more carries for Swift than Gainwell this week. You have two really good wide receivers at Philadelphia. But I don't know. I'm just feeling an upset here. I'm feeling a Monday night upset. Give me the Tampa Bay Buccaneers to win this game. Give me the Tampa Bay Buccaneers to beat a 5-point spread. Moving on to the last game of the week. And we got the Los Angeles Rams going up against the Cincinnati Bengals. And I also believe that next week starts bye weeks as well. We do get our first London game next week with the Falcons and Jaguars. Jaguars, basically, they're home away from home. But the last Monday Night Football game of Week 3 sees the LA Rams going against the Cincinnati Bengals. Cincinnati Bengals 2.5-point favorites. Even with Joe Burrow banged up, I think he's going to play in this one. I think Joe Burrow is going to play. 0-2 Cincinnati Bengals. This is kind of close to a must-win. Luckily for them, it's an NFC team. After playing back-to-back divisional games, again, NFC team. So if they were to lose this one, it wouldn't hurt nearly as bad as the first 2 weeks. I think 0-3, you start talking about being in trouble a little bit. Not sure exactly on the stat of 0-3 teams making the playoffs since 1990, but it's not good. It's not a good rate. However, you have Joe Burrow. If he gets healthy, you still have a really good team behind him. I think that if I was a Cincinnati Bengals fan, I would not be stressing about making the playoffs. A little bit stressed about winning the division now, right? Because you have 2 losses, both against divisional foes. So you're going to lose a lot of tiebreakers, at least right now. Depends how it goes the rest of the way. This Rams team, Matthew Stafford, Cooper Kupp still out. Not really a lot to lean on if you are an LA Rams fan right now. I know they won week 1, but last week wasn't nearly as successful. I believe that's how it went. Let me double check. Rams. What did the Rams do last week? I can't remember. Can't even remember. Anyway, I don't know. Oh, I can't see him right now. Don't know why I can't see him right now. Didn't do any research on the Rams before I got on here. They played San Fran. They covered. That's right. They covered on the last second field goal. I forgot about that. They won week 1, lost last week. Give me the Bengals to win a must-win game. That's all I'm saying about that. Bengals win a must-win game Monday night. 2.5-point favorites. I think that they know they have to win this game. I don't personally think it's a must-win game because it's an NFC team, but I think that they'll come into this week with that mentality. And you can't see the Bengals going on with 3. They've had a few solid seasons back-to-back. They're one of the favorites in the AFC past few seasons. And I think that they'll come up with a victory in this one. But those are my picks. We'll go through them one more time. Again, last week, straight up, double digits. Let's get double-digit wins both straight up and against the spread this week. Would really love that. Again, let me know in the comment section your picks for this week. So straight up, I got San Fran, Buffalo, Minnesota, New Orleans, Detroit, Tennessee, Jacksonville, the Jets, Miami, Baltimore, Seattle, Dallas, Kansas City, Pittsburgh, Tampa Bay, Cincinnati against the spread. San Fran, Washington, Minnesota, New Orleans, Atlanta, Tennessee, Houston, the Jets, Denver, Baltimore, Seattle, Dallas, Chicago, Pittsburgh, Tampa Bay, and Cincinnati. Again, let me know your picks in the comment section. It's week 3. Hopefully, going to start making some money, right? Down a little bit less than 1 unit right now. I think I'm down like 1 unit, basically. 1 unit. And I'm okay with that. Hopefully, it gets better this week. We'll see. I hope to see you all soon. Join me Sunday as I give play-by-play of the game between the Buffalo Bills and the Washington Commanders. Hopefully, we see another Buffalo Bills victory. Hopefully, we see the Bills go to 2-1. But like I said in my picks, I think it's going to be a close one. I look forward to seeing you on Sunday. Hope you all have a good rest of your week. Enjoy some football. I'll see you soon. Until I do, Go Bills.